Last night, you did the least demanding thing a human being can do. You did not lift a couch. You did not run a mile. You did not fall down the stairs or throw a punch or carry a kid on your shoulders through a theme park. You lay down on a soft surface in a warm room, and you spent 8 hours doing almost nothing you can remember. So explain the neck. Explain why. This morning, turning your head to check your blind spot felt like something you needed to warm up for. Explain the shoulder that aches like you slept on a rock. Explain the hand that woke up before you did, buzzing and half dead, like it belonged to someone else. Explain the lower back that made you stand up from bed the way your father used to. One careful section at a time. Sleep is supposed to be when your body repairs itself. That is the whole deal. You go down broken and you come up fixed. So how does the position you rest in become the very thing your body has to recover from? That question has a real answer. It runs from your pillow all the way down to your hips, then takes a turn you will not see coming, into your throat, and then into your stomach, and it ends somewhere better than you expect. Here is where it starts. When you fell asleep last night, you clocked out. Your body never did. We like to picture sleep as a full shutdown. Lights off, systems down, nobody home, and your mind does leave the building. That part is true. You will not remember most of tonight. You will not remember what position you were in at 2 in the morning, or how many times you moved, or which arm ended up pinned under your own ribs. You are gone. But gravity does not sleep. It never has. The moment you lie down, your weight has to go somewhere, and it goes into whatever is touching the mattress. Your head, which weighs about as much as a bowling ball, your shoulder, your hips, your heels. The pressure you carried standing up all day does not disappear when you lie down. It just gets handed off. Handed off to whom, that is the part nobody thinks about. Think of your body tonight as a night shift you never signed off on. While you are unconscious, a whole crew stays on duty. There is the neck, whose job is to hold a heavy head in whatever position your pillow decides. For hours, without a break. There is the bottom shoulder, the one buried under everything, quietly holding up half your torso like a support beam nobody inspected. There is your airway, a soft hallway that has to stay open all night, every night, or nothing else matters. And down below all of that, there is your stomach, which cares about something so strange I promise you have never once thought about it before bed. You do not manage any of these workers. You cannot. You are asleep. They handle the night alone. And the only communication you ever get from them is the report you wake up to. The stiff neck is a report. The numb hand is a report. The deep ache in the small of your back is a report, written in the only language your body has, telling you exactly how the night went. Most mornings you crumple that report and blame your age, or your mattress, or stress, or nothing at all. Tonight I want to actually read it with you. But before we do, you should know 2 things. First, pain is only the report you can feel. One worker on this shift does not complain in a language you know how to hear. And when his night goes wrong, that silence is the most dangerous part of this whole story. And second, by the end of this video, I'm going to show you why the question the entire internet keeps asking, what is the best sleeping position, is the wrong question. Not slightly wrong. Wrong at the root. And once you see why, you will never shop for a pillow, or a mattress, or a sleep tip the same way again. The night shift starts now. Start with the pillow, because the pillow is the most underestimated object in your bedroom. You think of it as a comfort item, something soft for your face. It is actually a piece of load-bearing equipment. Its real job is to decide where a 10-pound weight, your head, sits in relation to the rest of your spine. And to hold that decision for hours while you are in no condition to object. Get that decision wrong by 2 inches, and here is what happens. A pillow that is too tall props your head up and bends your neck toward your chest. And now your neck muscles are holding a version of the exact posture you have all day when you stare down at your phone. During the day, we have a scary name for that. We write articles about it. At night, the same bend gets a free pass. Because your eyes are closed and nobody is watching. Except your neck is watching. Your neck is living it. Minute after minute. From midnight to morning. A pillow that is too flat does the opposite. If you sleep on your side, your head drops toward the mattress, and the muscles along the top of your neck and shoulder spend the night pulling against that drop like ropes holding a tent in the wind. Either way, too tall or too flat, some part of your neck never gets to finish its shift, and the neck rarely suffers alone. That is the thing about a spine. It is not a collection of separate parts. It is a chain, and a chain moves together. The pillow lifts the head. The neck follows. The shoulder rotates to make room. The rib cage turns a few degrees. And somewhere down the line, your pelvis quietly shifts to keep the whole structure from feeling like it is tipping over. One small compensation at the top can buy another one below it. Link by link. Down your back. That is why pain sometimes shows up in a place that seems to make no sense. An ache far from the thing that actually started it. When you spend hours in one position, a local mismatch does not always stay local. Now let us talk about that shoulder. Because if the night shift has one worker getting crushed at the bottom of the org chart, this is him. The moment you roll onto your side, your bottom shoulder becomes the foundation of the entire building. A huge share of your upper body weight presses down through a joint that was designed for reaching and throwing. And it holds that load in the dark. For hours. Without relief. How that goes depends almost entirely on the surface underneath it. If your mattress is too firm, the shoulder cannot sink in. It gets shoved upward, toward your ear. And the whole top of your torso rides up with it, putting a kink in the chain we just talked about. If your mattress is too soft, the opposite happens. The shoulder sinks like a stone in mud. Your spine sags after it. And now your back is spending the night in a slow-motion side bend. Same person. Same position. 2 completely different mornings. Decided entirely by the ground floor. Then there is the hand. The famous dead hand. You know the one. You wake up and your arm is simply not yours anymore. It is a heavy, buzzing, useless object lying in your bed. And for about 10 seconds you have to move it with your other hand like a prop in a horror movie. Then the pins and needles flood in. And a minute later it is your arm again. Like nothing happened. The internet loves to terrify you about this. So let me be straight with you instead. In most ordinary cases, that numbness is pressure. Your arm was pinned under your head, or your body, or twisted up under the pillow. And the nerves and soft tissue in there spent a little too long being squeezed. The buzzing is your body complaining about it, loudly. And the quick recovery is usually a good sign that the squeeze was temporary. Your nerves were not dying. They were objecting. But I need to draw one line here. Clearly, if the numbness keeps coming back night after night, if it lingers long after you are up, if it comes with real weakness, or pain shooting down the arm, that is a different report. That one does not go to a YouTube video. That one goes to a doctor. And going is the smart move, not the dramatic one. Here is the last thing you need to know about this crew, and it is the one that changes the whole picture. You have a built-in defense against everything I just described, and it is not a posture, it is movement. A healthy sleeper changes position dozens of times a night and remembers none of it. You start on your left. You drift onto your back. An arm goes up. A knee comes over. And every one of those unconscious shuffles is a shift change. The crushed shoulder gets pulled off the floor. The bent neck gets a new angle. The pinned arm gets its blood back. Rolling over is not restless sleep. Rolling over is the night shift, rotating its workers so that no single one of them gets destroyed. Which means the real trouble starts on the nights that system fails. Hold that thought, because we are coming back to it at the end. And it changes everything about what a wrong position really is. But first, there is a problem with everything you have heard so far. Every worker I have introduced tonight can talk. Muscles complain. Joints ache. Nerves buzz so loud they wake you up. When their night goes badly, you know it by 7 a.m. Because the report is printed in pain. There is one worker left on this shift who does the most important job of all. And he does not speak in pain. No stiffness. No soreness. No buzzing. You can wake up feeling completely fine. Stretch. Smile. And pour your coffee, with no idea that a few hours earlier, this worker was fighting for your life. Meet him next. Somewhere in the back of your throat, there is a hallway. It is about the width of your thumb. It is made of soft tissue, and every breath you have ever taken has passed through it. There is no rigid frame holding it open. All day long. It stays open because the muscles around it hold the walls apart, the way a crew holds up a tent. And they do it so well, you have never once thought about them. Then you fall asleep, and the crew relaxes. That is normal. The muscle tone that stabilizes your airway eases off at night. The way grip eases off everywhere else in a sleeping body. The hallway gets a little softer, a little narrower, a little easier to press shut. For most people, on most nights, it stays open anyway. And the night passes without a story. But now add gravity, and add a position. Roll onto your back, and everything's soft in your throat, the base of your tongue. The loose tissue of the palate gets pulled by gravity in one direction, straight down, which, when you are lying face up, means straight backward, into the hallway. In some people, that changes nothing. The space is wide enough, the tissue is firm enough, and the night goes on. In other people, the walls of that hallway drift toward each other until the air has to squeeze through a gap that keeps getting smaller. You have heard what that sounds like. It sounds like snoring. Snoring is not just a funny noise your uncle makes. Snoring is the sound of air being forced through a hallway that is partly closed. It is the walls flapping. And in some people, on some nights, the hallway does not stay partly closed. It closes. When that happens, the body does something remarkable. The oxygen dips, the brain notices, and it hits an internal alarm. Not enough to wake you fully, just enough to jolt the throat muscles back on duty. Snap the hallway open, and pull in a breath. Usually with a snort or a gasp, the sleeper never remembers. Then everyone settles. Sleep deepens. The muscles relax again. And in the worst cases, the whole cycle starts over. Close. Alarm. Gasp. Repeat. For some people, that loop runs a handful of times a night. For others, it runs hundreds. Here is what I need you to sit with. The person this is happening to usually has no idea. They do not remember the gasps. They do not feel the alarms. And this is what I meant when I said this worker does not complain in a language you know how to hear. The throat is not numb. But a blocked airway at 3 a.m. does not leave behind the kind of pain report a shoulder leaves. There is no ache to find in the morning. The morning feels normal. So his report shows up somewhere else. It shows up at 2 p.m. When you are falling asleep at your desk, even though you were in bed for 8 hours, it shows up as the headache you have at breakfast. Morning after morning, it shows up as the bone-dry mouth you wake up with because you spent the night pulling air through your mouth like a man breathing through a straw. And sometimes the report goes to the other side of the bed entirely. To a partner who lies there at midnight listening to you go quiet. Too quiet, and then hearing you choke back to life, and who has been meaning to mention it for months. Now I have to be careful here, because this is where the internet takes a real thing and stretches it until it snaps. Sleeping on your back does not give you this condition. Most back sleepers are fine. This is a story about what a position can do to a body that is already vulnerable. Age, weight, anatomy, the shape of a jaw, the size of a neck, all of it plays a part. And plenty of people have airway trouble in every position they try. But there is a large group of people in the middle, and doctors know them well, whose problem is heavily loaded onto their back. On their side, the hallway holds. On their back, it folds. Same person, same bed. And for them, which way they are facing when they go under becomes one of the biggest variables in how many times they stop breathing that night. Some of those people have been exhausted for years and have blamed everything except the position they sleep in. So if any of this sounded familiar, the loud snoring, the gasping your partner describes, the morning headaches, the exhaustion that 8 hours in bed never fixes, hear me clearly. Do not solve that with a pillow. Do not solve it with a video. That pattern deserves a real evaluation from a real doctor. Because if it is what it sounds like, it is very treatable, and rolling onto your side is a footnote in that story. Not the cure. The smartest thing a tired person can do is find out why they are tired. And with that, the two loudest problems of the night are on the table. A body that aches because of how it was supported, and an airway that struggles because of how it was aimed. But there is one more worker on this shift. Further down, below the lungs. And this one does not care whether you sleep on your back or your side. This one cares which side. Here is a sentence that sounds ridiculous until you see the picture. Your stomach has a favorite side, and it picked that side before you were born. We like to imagine the body as symmetrical. 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 lungs. A neat mirror image down the middle. But the deeper you go, the less true that gets. Your heart sits off to the left. Your liver camps out on the right. And your stomach is not a centered little pouch under your ribs. It is a curved bag that hangs mostly on the left side of your body, connected to your throat by a tube, the esophagus, that comes down and joins it at an angle. That angle is the whole story of this chapter. Where the esophagus meets the stomach, there is a ring of muscle whose only job is to act like a door. Food goes down. The door lets it through. The door closes. Below that door sits everything your stomach is working on. Dinner, and the acid it uses to break dinner apart. That acid is strong, and the stomach is built to hold it. The esophagus is not. When acid gets back up through the door, the esophagus burns, and you know the feeling by name. Heartburn. All day long. You have a bodyguard you never think about. Gravity. When you are upright, everything in that bag is pulled toward the bottom. Far away from the door. The system barely has to try. Then you lie down, and you take the bodyguard away. The stomach goes from hanging vertically to lying flat, and now its contents are not pooled at the bottom anymore. They are spread out sideways, sloshing at the same level as the door. The only question left is where the door sits. Above the pool, or in it. That is what your side decides. Lie on your left side, and the curve of the stomach hangs below the junction. The acid pools down and away, and the door sits up on the high ground, above the waterline. Now roll over to your right. The bag shifts. The geometry flips, and the pool moves toward the door. The junction sits low now, closer to the acid. And for a lot of people with reflux, that is the position where the burning starts. Same dinner, same bed, same person. The difference is one roll, a half-second decision you make in your sleep. And it moves the door of your stomach from above the acid to beside it. People with nighttime reflux have known one half of this forever. They know the propped pillows, the burn that arrives the moment they lie flat. The 2 a.m. wake up with fire in the chest and a bitter taste in the throat. What most of them have never been told is that the two sides of their own body are not the same. That left and right can produce 2 different nights, and that researchers have actually measured this. Watching acid exposure drop when sleepers favored their left side and climb when they favored their right. Now, before anyone reorganizes their whole life around this, let me put a fence around it. This is a chapter for people with reflux. If stomach acid has never bothered your nights, you do not need to switch sides, and your stomach does not need managing. Position is also only half of this story. Whether acid gets through at all depends on how well that door of muscle does its job. And in people with frequent reflux, the door itself is often part of the problem. That is why reflux that shows up night after night, no matter which side you sleep on, is not a geometry problem anymore. It is a medical one. And it deserves a doctor, not a sleep hack. Position helps some people some amount. It is a lever, not a cure. But step back and look at what just happened to this whole story. Because now count the levers with me. Sleeping on your left side may calm your stomach, while grinding down on the exact shoulder that has been aching for a month. Sleeping on your back may be the kindest position your spine has ever known, and the worst one your airway can afford. The position that fixes one worker on this shift punishes another. There is no arrangement of your body on that mattress tonight that makes every single one of them happy at once. Do you see it now? Do you see the crack running through the question you came here with? You wanted to know what the wrong sleeping position does to your body. And for 3 chapters, that question worked. But we have reached the place where it stops working. Because wrong for what, wrong for whom, the internet has spent years selling you a right answer. One perfect position. One correct shape. As if your spine, your shoulder, your airway, and your stomach all voted for the same candidate. They did not. They never have. So in the final chapter, we are going to ask the question properly for the first time, and the answer is going to hand you something better than a perfect position. It is going to hand you a way to read your own body every single morning for the rest of your life. At the start of this video, I made you a promise. I told you that the question everyone keeps asking, what is the best sleeping position, is wrong at the root. It is time to pay that off. Here is the problem with the question. It assumes there is one answer, one shape, one arrangement of arms and legs and spine that works for every body on every mattress on every night. And you have just spent 4 chapters watching that idea fall apart in real time. Think about the crew you met tonight. Your spine wants to rest somewhere near its natural alignment, the gentle curves it holds all day. Your bottom shoulder wants a surface soft enough to sink into. Your airway wants an angle where gravity is not pulling the walls of that hallway shut. Your stomach wants the door held above the acid. 4 workers. 4 different job requirements. And no single position that satisfies them all. The left side that protects your stomach is the same left side crushing your sore shoulder. The back that finally lets your spine unwind is the same back that lets your airway fold. Every position is a trade. So when the internet crowns one position the winner, it is answering a question your body never asked. Here is the question your body actually asks. Every single night. Does this position fit? Because the wrong sleeping position was never a shape. It is a mismatch. A mismatch between your head and a pillow that holds it 2 inches too high. A mismatch between your shoulder and a mattress that refuses to make room for it. A mismatch between a position and the body you have right now. With its bad rotator cuff, or its reflux, or its snoring problem that nobody has ever said out loud. A mismatch between how a position feels at 11 p.m., when everything feels wonderful because you are exhausted, and what it costs 6 hours of stillness later. That last one matters more than people think. Comfort at lights out is a terrible judge of a sleeping position. Almost anything feels good for 90 seconds. The real question is what the bill looks like by morning. And there is one more mismatch. The one I asked you to hold on to back in Chapter 2. And it might be the biggest of them all. Remember your built-in defense. A healthy sleeper rolls, shifts, and shuffles dozens of times a night, rotating the crew so no single worker gets crushed. Which means something most people have never considered. The most dangerous night is not the night you fall asleep in a bad position. It is the night you get stuck in one. A few drinks can do that, especially in the first half of the night. When alcohol tends to drop you deep and leave you parked wherever you landed. Heavy exhaustion can do it. Illness. Sedation. A body that hurts too much to move easily. So can a mattress so soft that turning over becomes a project. So your sleeping brain quietly stops bothering. On those nights, the rotation fails, and one worker takes the whole night alone. That is when a position you have slept in 1,000 times before suddenly leaves you injured. And you spend the next day wondering what on earth you did. You did nothing. You just stopped moving. And stillness sent the bill. So no. I cannot hand you the perfect position, because it does not exist. But I can hand you something better. Your body files a report every single morning. And starting tomorrow, you are going to actually read it. It takes about 1 minute. Tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, lie still and just notice. Where is the stiffness? Where is the ache? Is it the same spot as yesterday? The same side? That pattern is information. Pain that keeps showing up after sleep, in the same place, is at least a reason to look at how that place is being supported all night. But I want to be honest with you about the limits here, because timing alone cannot diagnose anything. Morning stiffness that hangs around for a long time, pain that follows you through the whole day, symptoms that keep getting worse week after week. Those patterns have other possible explanations, some of them medical, and they deserve a professional instead of a new pillow. Then widen the lens. Do you keep waking up because a hand has gone numb? Because something burns? Because you have to shift? Does your partner say you snore louder? Or go quiet in a way that scares them? In one position more than another, were the chest fire nights, the nights you drifted onto your right side, none of this is cause for panic. These are patterns. And patterns are the only honest language your night speaks. And once you can read them, you can finally respond. Not with a rule book, but with small adjustments. If you sleep on your side, the job is filling the gap between your ear and the point of your shoulder. So your head lies level instead of tipping toward the bed all night. That is the entire job description of a pillow. And it is why the right one for you depends on the width of your own shoulders, not on a bestseller list. Some side sleepers find that a pillow between the knees quiets the lower back and the hips. If you sleep on your back, try something small under your knees and see what tomorrow's report says. If reflux owns your nights, give the left side an honest try. And remember, it is a lever, not a cure. Change one thing at a time. Sleep on it. And read the next morning. Your bed is the laboratory. Nobody on the internet, including me. You can read that data for you. Because nobody else sleeps in your body. And if the reports do not improve, if the numbness keeps returning, if the pain holds on all day, if the snoring and the gasping and the exhaustion keep stacking up, stop experimenting and bring it to a professional. That is not giving up on the problem. That is taking it seriously. Here is where I want to leave you. All night tonight, while you are gone, a crew you never hired is going to hold you together. A neck balancing a bowling ball in the dark. A soft hallway holding itself open 1,000 breaths in a row. A door of muscle keeping acid where it belongs. They have done this every night of your life. Through every terrible mattress and dying pillow you have ever put them through. And they have never once taken a night off. They are not asking you for a perfect position. There is no such thing. And they have always known it. They are asking for something much smaller. Support where you are heavy. Freedom to roll when a position stops working. And a person upstairs who glances at the report in the morning, and every once in a while, actually does something about it. Give them that. And the night changes shape. Your muscles let go. Your joints stop compensating. The hallway stays open. And the door stays shut. And those 8 hours finally get spent on the one job sleep was hired to do in the first place, which is repairing you. Your body should not have to fight the position you call rest. Sleep well tonight.